Hello, people. We are back. A2TP podcast, episode 106. And it's your boy, International Walk. And I am back.
And it's your girl, Tosh, the co-hostess for the mostest.
Yep.
Oh, no, the co-hostess with the mostest. I feel like a little Tabitha. Like, how y'all doing out there? Y'all all right? All right.
Because you don't want to tell us that's your business.
Yeah. That's your business.
We are back for another episode of A2TP, the podcast, episode 106.
We are.
You can catch us on A2TPodcast.com, all the platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Instagram, Anchor, Breaker, Spotify,
Radio Public.
and Radio Public.
TikTok.
I said a couple of them a couple
Yeah,
times.
you did. You did.
I felt like that, yeah.
It was like a glitch in the matrix.
Yeah, but all those platforms y'all could catch us on. Get right to it. How are you?
That's a loaded question. At this very moment, I'm probably, if I'm honest, I'm an 8.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an 8. Mentally, I have been all over the place. As y'all know, I just had a birthday. It was an unforgettable birthday. But my heart is extremely overflowing with gratitude, which helps my mind stay in a better mental space. So gratitude is like the superseding feeling that I have. So that brings me to an 8.
Mm-hmm.
Financially, I'm a 10. Money, don't get me wrong. We need money in this world to go around.
Speak a little louder, baby.
Sorry. You've been telling me my voice.
I know, but we're doing a show. You're a little subdued right now. Speak a little louder.
Money makes the world go around. We need money. So, I don't want to be stupid. Say money means nothing, but money ain't most important. So, we're 10. I'm going to speak for us.
Mm-hmm.
That's that. Work is a 10 because I ain't been there. Vacation was a little extended, and but I'm grateful. My PTO bank was popping, so it ain't no thing. Physically, I'm gonna say I'm probably like a 7.5. I'm due for some rest. Haven't been resting well, but kind of on and off. Did get a good nap in. Maybe tucked me in my nap, but I'm probably a 7.5. I'm scheduled for my monthly massage. I hope I can enjoy it, but I
hope that you do.
I need it.
Yeah, I hope that you enjoy it. And that's what those are for. Like, you can just take 60 minutes to yourself, because that will give you another few hours to deal with, with whatever's going on. But you need those pockets to
relax. Yeah. I want to be, and I don't know if this is good, I want to be able to fall asleep. I've had some great massages, and I probably kind of, felt really relaxed on the cusp of dozing off, but I've never went to sleep. I want to go to sleep during them. Now, I don't know if that's... He goes to sleep and snores and disrupts my massage if we're in the same room.
In a heartbeat.
But I don't know if that's counterproductive, because you want to feel that it feels good. But I want it to feel so good that I go to sleep. So I hope I can go to sleep. But nevertheless, I'm looking forward to that.
Don't you get the woman you had before? No,
I don't. She wasn't available. So she'll be available for, I booked her for February. So let me tell you something. One of my, I don't even want to say goals, but probably 2 years ago, Toya always told me about her monthly massage membership, and I kept saying, I'm gonna do it. Well, before I used to think like that's a luxury thing, I don't really need that, but I absolutely do. One, I thank God that it's a luxury that I can afford, and it's something that is a part of self-care, that as you get older you realize, like, it's not just about the massage, but it's the massage too. Like, your body needs to relax. You need to feel good. It's some meditative qualities to it. It's you time. Like, I enjoy a couples massage, but it's something about that being by yourself too. Yeah. You know what's weird? In the past, I think I had a male masseuse one time. Never felt any kind of way. And even in scheduling, I will always say any provider. But leading up to my last massage, I got kind of nervous I was like, maybe I shouldn't have said any. If it is a man, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not about to let nothing go down and like not say nothing. But do I even want to be put in that situation
where
where
something
something does go down? And I was like, am I tripping? Like, why am I feeling like this? I started feeling really, and before, and now I asked my husband out of respect, like, do you have a problem if I was to get a male? And he didn't have a problem. But I started feeling like, I don't know if I want to be in that kind of vulnerable situation with a man. And I was upset at myself. Like, why am I feeling like this? So I started feeling really weird about it. But I did say, so I don't know who I'll have this time, but my next one is going to be for this awesome lady that I had last month. So, how are you?
I am good. Mentally, I feel like the lowest you can be on is a 7.5 on here. So I would say I'm at 8.
Okay.
Mentally. I have a lot of positive thinking and a lot of positivity around. So I feel like I'm an 8.
Excuse me, y'all. We have to just tell you we got some goodies from
Tootsie
my baby
Rolls.
sister.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's the fruity, so that's even better. So our mouths a little juicy right now.
Finances, a 10. Yeah, not a concern at all. Work, been on a little vacation, so not really concerned about work that much. So for the number for that would be a 9. Actually, I'm like, I was setting some inspections up and stuff like that. So 9.
You've been working remotely like me.
Yeah, like I've been doing some stuff for my guys, but just been over the phone. And physically right now I feel like a 7.5. I feel like a 7.5. Working towards getting a better number, but right now I feel like I'm a 7.5 physically. Wows and woes?
The wow was just seeing another year, another trip around the sun, having another birthday. I remember my mom had said something one time about like my nieces and nephews, like I spoiled them into thinking that they needed to celebrate every birthday, because I used to be like the event planner for the family, like birthdays, game nights, like family stuff. I don't do that anymore, but that's what she used to say. But I truly feel like, and even more so now than ever, we can't just hold out for those like milestone birthdays, 5, 10, 15, 20. Like you can't, because your next birthday, now you can do what you want. I choose not to. Whether you celebrate big or small, your next day ain't guaranteed. So your next birthday,
next hour not guaranteed.
Yeah, we just seen Lori Harvey looks like she had like a huge birthday for her 26th birthday. And some people might think like, all right, it ain't 25, it ain't 30, it's 26. But so what?
Yeah,
like,
it's another trip around the sun.
Yeah.
It's another day God gives you to breathe. And more often than not, we don't like wake up and take it for granted. But it just kind of falls by the wayside of things that you do all day. And that's not the number one thing in your mind, is being thankful for the air that you breathe and being thankful for what God has given you, whatever you believe in, whatever's going, your higher power, but just believing and being thankful and grateful that you can use your arms, you can use your legs, you can breathe air, you can see people, you can smile, like you don't have no impurities in you. And more often than not, we take that for granted, and it's got to be something that we just absolutely stop. Like it's got to be at the forefront of whatever you're doing, is being thankful to be able to do it.
We plan our lives almost as if it's expected, that which it's like 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. Yeah, you gotta plan a vacation. You can't just wake up like, hey, think I'm going to buy those plane tickets and we're going to get going this afternoon. Mm-hmm. So there is some planning that has to be done just in life in general. But at the same time, we have to also just continually be grateful, because again, your next moments are guaranteed. In terms of my woe, I think just the realization, sometimes things hit you in the face and you realize like, whoo, like, yup, ain't nothing guaranteed. But at the same time, the wow supersedes the woe. So I'm going to just leave it there.
I'm going to piggyback on what she said. My wow is God is just great. I've always thought that. not as much as I do today. But I just feel like God is great, and everybody has a calling. Everybody everybody has the same destiny. So it's like when you're ready, you're ready. When you're not, you're not. So I just want to say God is great. That's all. That's all of what I'm getting at. God is great. So appreciative of Him. My woe is just forever, if I ever in my life questioned that. If I ever in my life questioned that, I feel bad for that now. Yeah, I feel bad for that now. So God is great, and if I ever in my life questioned it, I will never again. We're talking about Black men's health this segment. And we, for the past 2 years, have been on a mental health journey. Just as you see around the internet, a lot of people, because of COVID, kind of made everybody sit down and, just be with themselves. And then mental health kicked in because people wasn't going to work, trapped inside, not being socialized, stuck with the kids, stuck with the wife, stuck with the husband. And all those things affected everybody in different ways. So everybody wanted to, strengthen their mental health or pay more attention to it, and rightfully so.
Because and not to mention, so many people, fortunately not for us, but if you think about like people that live in New York, they seen pockets of people dying, like stuff that New York, even medical professionals spot. They expect to see people dying, but they seem like. Right. Rooms of people dead.
New York was unprecedented. A hot spot. So yeah, a lot of people, and New Jersey to a certain point, and it was a lot of deaths. A lot of people had deaths in their family, so it was a lot of mental stuff to deal with, a lot of mental anguish to deal with. But what I think fell by the wayside is our physical health, especially in the Black community, because we sat around, we ate, we gained the COVID pounds, we wasn't working out. Like me and my wife went on walks and stuff like that, but you figure like that we had the time to actually work out, but we wasn't doing that like actively like we should. And then all the gyms and shit was closed, but it's not like you need that to so you can have a workout or whatever. But we paid so much attention to our mental health that we kind of lacked on our physical health, eating habits, the stuff that we take in, our vices, all that kind of stuff plays a factor into how you feel and how you're going to deal with stuff as you get older in your physical form. I think Black men have to go to doctor's appointments more. There's a stigma in the Black community where men don't like to go to doctors. We don't like to get the finger up the butt. We don't like to do any of that stuff. We don't like to do follow-up appointments. We don't like to be in the doctor being poked and probed. And that has to stop. Like it's a big part of our community that has to change that narrative. We got to go to doctor's appointments. We got to go to doctor's appointments. We got to go to our follow-up appointments. We got to just make appointments to be at the doctor, a PCP doctor, a wellness care every year. Like we got to be able to do that stuff and be successful at it.
One of the interesting things that I find is that for a long time there was a stigma, and still is, I will admit, that part of the reason why Black people in general, but I know we're specifically talking about Black men, didn't go to the doctor was because we were underinsured or not insured, which meant that the quality of the health care that was received was subpar. I remember growing up, we went to the health clinic at 28th and Dolphin. It felt like if you had a doctor's appointment, it felt like you was there for the day. Like literally it felt like I can see that building with the big connected benches around the middle. But it just felt like it was there for the day. And unfortunately, I think we had Medicaid or welfare insurance. I'm not sure. But unfortunately, if you are underinsured, meaning, you have Medicaid or state insurance or not insured, then that may be the experience. But what I find to be interesting is we have a lot of we have a increase in the middle and lower upper class, I guess you would call it, Black people. Like we're doing better, we're doing well. So now we have more people having insurance and stuff like that, but I think that same mentality has stuck, where I think people just have that perception that that's how medical care is overall, and it's like when you have better insurance, and this is very unfortunate because it shouldn't be this way, but the fact is it is. But when you have better insurance, you get faster appointments, you get more prompt care, you have a bigger population. And that's not to say that doctors that accept Medicaid don't care. They do, but you have a bigger population of doctors to select from. Whereas if you got, 40 doctors in your neighborhood to pick from that accept Medicaid, their patient chart is going to be bigger. Whereas if you have 400 to pick from, their patient load may be a little lighter. They got more, they can wiggle around a little more appointment availability. So
that's just one of the reasons why we don't go to the doctors, because we gotta wait.
Well, I don't even think just waiting. I think the whole experience.
It makes sense. It just makes me laugh at it. Like, damn, like we such impatient motherfuckers.
Yeah, I think the whole experience. Nobody want to be there all day. They feel like the people aren't gonna care. They feel like they're gonna be pushed around. But we have to think like, okay, now that you're in a better position in life to have better insurance, to have better access to care, we gotta
stuff
break.
That you didn't have access to before that you used to complain about.
Exactly. We can't, attribute those reasons to us now that we have different lifestyles than we may have had previously. Now, again, unfortunately, everybody should receive the same care. But I think, for a lot of Black men like yourself, you ain't a big proponent of the doctor. We have those conversations and you go as needed, and we'll continue to do so. But it's that stigma of like, oh, wow, I don't feel like going to see them if ain't nothing wrong with me. Well, preventive care is what can possibly, not always, but what can possibly detect those things that you may not know is wrong with you to avoid it from being something bigger. So I just think that's interesting, like, those stigmas about the medical system for low income or underinsured. It's like, all right, we got a lot of us that ain't in that category no more. So we got to understand, one of the luxuries of life is receiving better health care. And that's so sad to say, but it's the truth.
Right, because we talked about the healthcare system, but even when you go there and try to get the test that you think you need, there's a maze you have to go through. Well, that's also an issue why we don't go to the doctors.
Well, we know that healthcare in America.
It's to me, it seems like you have to have the symptoms of something to get checked for something. And that's how it seems like the system is set up. And it could be the symptoms for anything. I'm just saying, it looks like you have to have the symptoms for something to get checked for something.
We know that the healthcare system in America is very broken. The privatization of healthcare is horrible because it's a business and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, whereas in other countries like Canada, where healthcare it's a socialist economy where they don't have to pay for, like, paying for healthcare sounds ridiculous to them. It's like you're just supposed to get it and it's equal for everyone. Unfortunately, that's not our case in America, and that's why certain things have to be approved, or you can't just request certain tests because there's costs associated with it. You got insurance companies that have to agree to pay for it, and they're only going to agree to pay for it if it's medically necessary. And if they're not agreeing to pay for it and the doctor can't prove medical necessity, then the doctor ain't going to do it because they don't want to be stuck with an $8,000 service that ain't nobody paying for. And they know damn well they ain't going to rely on patients to pay for it. So it's horrible that it is a for-profit, that our health is a for-profit industry. It's just the way of I'm not going to say it's the way of the world. It's the way of America.
Okay, now Black men not going to the hospital, like, okay, obviously that's a gender thing. For a Black, a female, has that ever been an issue on y'all side of it, or have y'all always been taught to go to the hospital?
See, I do think
or do you know black girls that be like, fuck the hospital, just like black dudes? Like, we found out our brother-in-law was a hospital guy. Like, so there's some black guys who do go to the hospital.
Yeah.
But there are also some black guys who be like, fuck that shit, I'm not going, and haven't been for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think for black women it's a little different because we start going, or we should start going to the hospital. You know, our first experience as kids together, we're kind of on the same level as our parents taking us to our checkups and stuff like that. But then as girls, you get into those ages where you have earlier prerequisite appointments like your GYN visits and stuff like that, where for men, y'all don't really start having those kind of things that they say, okay, you should show up for this until like your 40s for your prostate. Like,
no, I mean, I think as a teenager, you get your balls checked, you get like some stuff,
but that's part
like
of your checkups. Like, you know how you go for your 3 month, 6 month, 18 month, and then every year. Okay, we're kind of on the same page with that. But then for women, and we don't necessarily have a specific age range, because I know some women who never went to the GYN until they were sexually active. But you got to think too, if a woman men should be going when they're sexually active too for STD tests and stuff like that. But girls, y'all don't have, like, we have a GYN appointment we go to. Y'all don't have like a ball check appointment y'all go to unless it's something wrong.
No.
So I think for women, our introduction to the healthcare system is different because we want all that checked. And then, but again, for y'all, those, I don't want to say mandatory, but those recommended checks start later in life. Where for us, they start once we become sexually active, which is much sooner.
But you do get more strenuous checkups if you play sports, if you go to the military, shit like that, you get more.
But unfortunately, it's for it's for your own care, but it for sports, it's for monetary reasons. Right. They want to make sure that you're still a valuable asset.
And for the military, it's for liability reasons.
Yeah, for liability. They want to make sure you don't get hurt there. But just regular everyday life, men, so I think for women, when I hear a woman say like, I ain't been to the doctor in years, like, I be thinking, now, 21 years plus, we going into 22 years, we've been together. I'm still going frequently to get everything checked because I just feel like I want to know it's all right. I ain't nothing on my mind thinking about nobody creeping, nobody cheating, nothing being passed along. But for myself, it's just been ingrained in me. I want to make sure everything is okay. So I don't have any friends that don't go to the hospital regularly. I'm sure there's some women out there that don't go as regularly as recommended or as they should. But can I read you some a stat that I found? So y'all know typically I don't know the the topics, but we did kind of talk through this, so I was able to gather some stats. I think it's interesting that this was a University of Florida study finds that 65% of African American men over the age of 40 are at high risk of having a heart attack or stroke within the next 10 years. So, and that is an increase since 1999 because it used to be 53.5%.
Wow. So
now 65% of black men over 40 or older, high risk of, so that means between 40 to 50, 65% chance that they'll have a heart attack or stroke. It used to only be a 53% chance.
That's high.
It's very high. And the weird thing is this, right? Cardiovascular disease, I mean, we're talking about black men's health in general, but specifically cardiovascular disease risk for most other populations has remained constant over time and actually decreased for two populations. I was happy to read this. White women, the prevalence of the high risk fell from 9.6% to 5.8%. And for black women, it fell from 15% to 10.6%. So it's weird because it makes me think, like, as black women, and of course I'm not naive to think all black women are married, but if we're improving our health, we're responsible for our partners.
Right.
So, of course, if you're a single man, hopefully you got a mother, a sister, some woman in your life who loves you. But as women, we can no longer allow our men to just be like, oh, he don't want to go to the doctor. He just don't. Nah, like,
yeah, because
I
when you
need
become a certain
you.
age, you just have to. Like, you just have to.
Yeah, and some men are just, which you have been, some men are just resistant. And us women, we allow it. And don't get me wrong, you know, I've allowed him not to, or I don't want to say I allowed him. I haven't been forceful and persistent in him going to the doctor as frequently as he should in the past. That don't mean that I missed any of my appointments, but I just have, so as we are improving our health and having this knowledge, like, that made me upset at myself and us. Like, we gotta pull y'all along too. Mm-hmm. Like, we need y'all to 65% between 40 to 50. That is huge. And I think there's a lot of factors that are attributed to it. I think one of the biggest things too, which has become more prevalent over the last few years, stress. We can talk about diet. We can talk about healthcare inequities. We can talk about, you know, different socioeconomic issues that impact healthcare and access to healthcare and adequate healthcare and lack of healthcare knowledge. But we also have to consider the stress that's being placed on our Black men that's putting them in this higher risk category. As such as the disparity in those numbers, it's crazy. 65% for Black men, 10% for women. Like, it's just gonna be women, Black women left here, and they gonna take out our Black men. That's crazy.
It is crazy. That's the 65% is a high fucking number.
Yeah, a high number. 65%.
And I'm not a not go to the hospital guy. If something is wrong with me that I don't think is right, I'm going to the hospital. Do I like it? No. But when I do know when something ain't right. Like, I know what I can shake off and I know what I can't. I know, like, I ain't never felt that before. Or I ain't never felt this before. Or this ain't never been this hot. Or this ain't never been this cold. But, so I'm not that kind of guy. But I have, for lack of a better term, been neglectful with, like, my yearly appointments. Routine stuff. And that stuff matters. And, you know, as Black men, we got to make changes in that stuff, and that should be like the number one focus. Like, with so much other shit we care about, but that should be the focus. At the top of the year, knock that stuff out the first 6 weeks or 3 months that you can, and then you cool for the year. But you should be able to get to, like, that should be the number one thing.
And it's the thing too, right? So routine appointments can feel very mundane. Like, literally, you wait for a year and you're there for 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. They listen to your heart. They check you. I have never heard anybody them finding anything in your ears, but they always check your ears. I be wanting to look in there like, what the hell are y'all looking for? But whatever.
Sometimes they find bugs in people's ears. Sometimes they look in people's ears and be like, you have a spider in your ear, and go in there with tweezers, or you have something in your ear, and they'll be like, yeah, it was itching for a little bit, and pull out something. And it's like, holy shit.
Ew.
Yeah, some people have broke Q-tips in their ears.
Well, okay, they check your heart, they check your lungs, they check your ears, they press here, do this hurt, do that hurt.
Ask you to cough.
Yeah, well, women don't do that but for men. Yeah, they ask you to cough. For women, they like press around your, I guess that's your uterus area, and ask, do it hurt? But this is the most important thing. If I ain't no medical professional, I ain't giving nobody medical advice. But your blood work is the most important thing.
Cultures.
And no, your actual blood work, not just cultures, like them drawing your blood. This is what I would suggest to people. If you know you have your routine appointment coming up, right? Ask your doctor 2 weeks before. Hey, can you send in my lab request, or however you got to do it? Everything, a lot of things are electronic now. So, but can you send in my lab request so you can get your lab work done like a week before your appointment? That way, when you show up, they already got your numbers, because a lot of the times they can't tell what's wrong with you. Your blood is like the oil running through your car. I ain't gonna make no real car analogies because I don't know.
No, that makes sense.
But that's when they could tell something is wrong based on your levels of your blood. And a lot of times what happened, and I know this is true for myself, you go to the appointment, they don't really have nothing to talk about if it's nothing really
to talk
there.
About, yeah.
So they give you your blood work, you go afterwards, and then if you go, because I have been known not to go. One time I went like 6 months later, and they was like, this expired, but I just was like, I want to get my blood drawn. But if you go, then they'll follow up with you if something is wrong. But maybe nothing isn't necessarily wrong, but maybe there are conversations to be had. So again,
and it's baselines. Even like she said, if nothing's wrong, there's baselines that's on file that can tell what's wrong, what's going on, if something changed, if something ain't right. And another thing you said, like, that piqued my my interest, like what she just explained, is knowing how to go to the doctor. Like, a lot of people don't know how to do that. A lot of people don't know to think, let me call and get my blood work 2 weeks or a week before. So it, like, that's a smart thing to do. But so many people don't, like, you got to know how to go to the doctor.
And I only started doing that like 3 years ago, because it was like, you know what? I want you to have this information available.
Who knew you
when
could?
I get,
Yes, and it's like, you got to know how to go to the doctor.
And you got to
like,
tell them, like,
could?
And they can look and see, like, you know, next week I got my well visit scheduled. Can you call in my blood work so I can go do it now? So my, you know, Dr. such and such will have the results by the time I come. I've never had any pushback on that. They like, oh, sure. They call it in, you go get your blood work. Then when they show up, your doctors see all your numbers and they can talk through whatever. That way you don't have to worry about doing nothing afterwards. You getting a bad phone call to follow up if something is wrong. Or you can just, you have a stuff. And for me, this might be a little bit much, and I ain't saying people need to do this. I be looking up all those numbers to see, like, what does this mean? Like, some of them, you know your lipids is fat, you know your iron levels and stuff like that. Your LDL and HDL is cholesterol. But some of those numbers, and maybe because I've had some health scares, I be looking up all that stuff. Like, what does this mean? Like, even when my numbers are good, I just want to have
shit.
I want to have an understanding of what
like
am I looking at.
NIC/.2.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What does this mean? What are y'all checking? What, because your blood tells how
2.4
what's going on in your body. Like, so, I mean, again, well visits can seem very mundane. Another thing too that I learned from my sis is, I don't want to say lie, but it's okay to exaggerate a little to get the doctor's attention.
Yeah.
Like, like, you know, if it's hurting a little bit, like when they touch it, that's what.
Or your pain might be at 2, and you should say it's at 5 or 4. To be like, okay, y'all should look a little harder or pay attention to me more. I'm really fucking hurting over here.
Yeah.
Dietary, though. The shit we eat in the black community as black men. And I know some black men out there eat super healthy. I'm not, not saying anything about that. But what discourages me is the black men who don't eat healthy and, eat fried foods whenever they want to. Or, and you know what? Some people's metabolism can burn off that shit differently than other people, but a lot of people can't. And then sitting around for COVID, us eating what we wanted to, bunch of fried stuff, pizzas, and just a bunch of fried foods, trans fats, can put weight on you. Putting weight on you can put another thing that you can die from, like sleep apnea. Like, so there's a plethora of things that just your diet can have an effect on.
And let's be mindful that high metabolism does not equate to being just people can eat foods and not gain weight. It doesn't mean that their kidneys aren't being affected, their liver isn't being affected, their arteries aren't being clogged. Because you're right, your metabolism can burn that stuff off, can burn the fat off so that it doesn't equate to more pounds. It doesn't mean that the cholesterol isn't collecting in your body. It doesn't mean the sodium isn't collecting in your body. It doesn't mean that, the carbohydrates aren't collecting in your body. Like, skinny people get diabetes too. So I think that's another thing.
Which was shocking to me at one time, but
people have to be mindful that everybody's body metabolizes stuff differently. People, like, I'm just going to be completely transparent. When I go to the doctor, y'all see, I'm a plus size queen. Like, I'm gorgeous. I'm beautiful. I'm just thick. Never had any issues with my blood pressure. Never had any issues with cholesterol. Never had issues with diabetes. And doctors, like, ask me that and then kind of, like, confirm, like, Look at my numbers. I go to the same doctors for the most part, but if I have to go to a specialist,
they almost look at you like they're
but
shocked
they
a little
exactly
bit.
Because I am fit, it's almost like this expectation. So again, that's not to say that I can't be healthier and lose weight, but it also does. It means that my body is doing different things. Like anybody who knows me know, I'm overweight, but I like to be active. Like I'm a very competitive. I will get out there and like almost kill myself running, trying to run with the best of them. So you can't judge how other people's bodies do things and handle things and think that your body is going to do the same. Like I didn't climb mountains. I could swim with the best of them. Like I can do a lot of stuff, and I
climb the same mountain.
Yeah, I don't have any those kind of health issues that you would think are normally attributed to obesity, but it doesn't mean that a smaller person whose body is metabolizing and not gaining weight in the same way, that they don't have other conditions. So I think overall we just have to I think the important thing is too, we have to have a different relationship with food, because we eat when we sad. Now, not everybody, but people eat. Some people are emotional eaters. When you sad, when you happy, when you get into a new relationship, what they call it, or they got that new relationship weight. You know, you get a little thick because y'all booed up, y'all eating in the house, y'all going out on dates.
Things and make decisions according to how it makes you feel. You want to feel good, so you eat foods that kind of make you feel good. So yeah, that's a bad thing.
And the hard part about it is the adjustment period. Like eating healthy isn't hard. Is the hard part is changing from eating unhealthy to healthy. Once you start eating,
yeah, you're right. I think eating healthy is easy if you make the decisions. I think the hard part about our society is trying to eat healthy about what they tell us is healthy, about what they say is what we should be eating. That makes it hard. But if you do your own research, you can figure out what you shouldn't and shouldn't be eating, and what you shouldn't be cooking, and what you should be, and eat healthy that way.
And you gotta think too, like some things just ain't worth it. Like right now I'm going through this thing where I'm trying to cut out sugar. I don't like vanilla coffee, but I love French vanilla creamer. But I know it has sugar in it. I'm trying to just use half and half. Coffee ain't my friend right now. And I love coffee, but I just think to myself, you know what? It ain't worth it. Like I'm not going to give in to that craving for the sugar just because it tastes so good. So that's where like...
You had an orange slice.
Well, that's different. One thing at a time. I ain't say I was cutting out everything. I got fruities too.
Oh, I'm just saying.
But I'm saying having 2 cups of coffee a day with French vanilla creamer
in it, the way you like it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm cutting out all sugar, but you cut back different things. Yeah. And I ain't eating orange slices every day. I might have 2 orange slices twice a week. I
wasn't trying to put you on the spot.
But you put me on the spot. Too. You put me on the spot.
What about jeans? Having fucked up jeans?
Yeah.
How bad of a part does that play when you could be a hospital person, but you got like, and this is maybe a stupid question to ask in front of everybody, but does a genogram or something like that tell you can have bad genes? Or tell you like what's affecting your genes?
Yes and no, but this is the thing, and
can you look through genes and say you have a high propensity for cancer or sickle cell or whatever the fuck
Well, sickle cell, yes, because that is genetic. There are some things that may not necessarily... Sickle cell is hereditary.
Hereditary, not genetic.
Yeah, so sickle cell in the Black community, that's just like cystic fibrosis in the Jewish community, Tay-Sachs disease. So those things are hereditary. Then you have certain things like let's say cancer. There's certain things where medical history may lend to you having a higher propensity to develop certain conditions, but it doesn't mean you're automatically going to get it. But if you have a mother and your mother and your father has to have a sickle cell gene for you to have it, that's going to be automatic if they both have that gene. But you know, if it's like I have an aunt who had breast cancer, so her children and grandchildren, hopefully, I know one of them do, starting at a young age, they had to regularly get mammograms, like sooner than the recommended age of 40 because of medical history. That doesn't mean that they're definitely going to get breast cancer, but because of that lineage, they have a higher propensity to get it. It's same with like heart disease. I think too, you may have a higher propensity because like people may have a higher propensity because of their lineage, but it's not guaranteed. But I also think some of that can be broken. Like we talk about breaking generational curses. Mm-hmm. I think somewhere along that lineage you can break that where it won't continue to happen. I think sometimes those things are carried through our DNA because of our family line, but it doesn't mean we can't change it.
So, I mean, but what if you got the guy who had 2 aunts who had heart attacks, and he's a workout freak, but dies having a heart attack? I mean, but has a heart attack while he's working out. Like, he's a thin male doing what he's supposed to do, eating, exercising every day, but has a heart attack at 40 because he was working out.
Again, I think
that's one of the things like that was in his gene.
But I don't think it's something like it's not genetic. It just means that it's in your family history. Meaning, again, there may be a higher risk for that to happen to you, but it ain't guaranteed. So there are some factors that you have control over that can eliminate or that can decrease the chances of it happening. You may not.
Well, that's what I mean. If he was doing everything he was supposed to be doing, like, and he still died from a heart attack, it's like, could he have stopped it? If he was a heavyset man, that still would have happened. But the fact that it was in his gene, that's where I'm saying, where does it break down? I guess the question I'm basically asking is, where does it break down to who might get what? Or does it mean like if a person has aunts or uncles that had heart attacks, does that mean all the kids have this propensity?
Right, that's what, I think there's an increased chance, but again, it's not hereditary. Through family history, there may be a higher chance of you having it. That's like glaucoma. That's something that is based on family history, and I can't think of the correct terminology. It's not hereditary, but it may be, you just may have a higher propensity of developing glaucoma if your grandfather had glaucoma, if your father had glaucoma. It's something that's like in your genes, but it's not like directly passed to you, like how somebody can pass red hair from themselves to their child, or freckles, or dimples, like, that kind of thing.
That stuff's not hereditary? Freckles aren't gene. That's something you like.
That's what I'm saying. That's hereditary. Red hair, the
freckles.
Yeah, freckles, that sort of thing.
Certain moles.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
I'm not saying no,
asking.
but I don't think more. If you have a dimple in your chin, that's hereditary.
Right.
If you can fold your tongue, which that's I can't do, and it's weird. Not everybody, because I can't do it. My sisters and my nieces can. My mom can do it. I don't know about my dad. I don't know how to do it. But so even things that are hereditary doesn't mean that everybody's gonna get it.
Right.
But being right-handed or left-handed. My grandmother, my mom and dad, and then my sister, 2 and maybe 3. We're not sure about one of them. But definitely 2 of them are all left-handed. So there are certain things like that are hereditary, but it doesn't mean it's going to hit everybody. So,
but that kind of shit is can be nurtured too, because a lot of kids I know, and I know from work, that if you went to Catholic school, they made you write with a hand that you didn't want to. So
they made you write with your right hand.
Yeah, so it's a lot of people that were left-handed that were made to write right-handed.
But people aren't made to write left-handed though, because technically you were supposed to be right-handed. So if you were left-handed,
what do you mean you were supposed to be right-handed?
Like, that's how Catholic schools, they felt like if you were left-handed, you were doing it wrong. So they made you learn to write right-handed. So they made a lot of, but
so they didn't believe in the whole hereditary thing.
They just felt like we're gonna teach you a different way.
I'm just saying we're gonna smack your hand to make you write in a different. That's just.
Yeah, they just felt like we're gonna teach you a different way. That ain't how you supposed to do it. But so going back to like health conditions, there are some things that are hereditary that it's probably nothing that, no, not probably. There's nothing that you can, it's not guaranteed that it will be passed down to you. But if it does, it was nothing that you could have done differently to stop it. And then there are some things that just may be genetic where I mean, I don't want to say genetic, that just may be attributed to family history, that, yeah, you may be more prone to it, but there are some preventive measures that you can take.
Right. Now,
like diabetes 1 is something that, like, kids can be born with that, and it's nothing that they can do about it.
But isn't that something
that's diabetes 1? Diabetes 2, you don't need
insulin for, right?
You do need insulin, but diabetes 2 is attributed to diet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Diabetes 1 is not.
Right. I think they call it like junior diabetes or something like that. Yeah.
But it's still an insulin thing.
Yeah, it's still an insulin thing, but it's not like you can be born with it. So it ain't like, oh, you ate too many fatty foods or stuff like that.
So what are some of the things that we got to do better in the Black community for men to start going to the hospital? One was, you said, our wives,
as women
just taking
in our
credit
community,
and bringing us along.
Yeah,
and I finish what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just bringing us along and being supportive and sometimes stern with us and making us get to the doctor. But what are some other things other than that?
I think we have to be open-minded about our diets too. Like, fried food is okay, but if you think about it, it's a lot of other things that we can eat. A lot of the traditional soul foods that we have been conditioned to be like our favorite foods.
Shit is horrible.
He's never been a soul food fan, but we really have to think like, there's so many foods out there that we can eat, and just cooking.
It's funny to hear you say that when you say we need more animals. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, I do.
I digress.
We do need
she
more
thinks
animals.
We need more animals to eat.
Chicken, beef, fish. And we don't eat turkey. Like, shrimp. Like, I just be tired. Like, we need a dragon or something. a flamingo. Like, something else on the plate. Like, I'd be so tired of the same thing. Your shit would be
pink if you ate a flamingo.
You think they pink in the inside too?
They eat them shrimp like that. Yeah, I'm sure they are. I'm sure their shit is pink too.
Yeah, well, we just need some different animals. But we also just need to be open-minded in our community. Like, I recently started loving mango. More fruits and stuff like that. And, like, we love sweets, and that's we can...
No, when you said animals, like, what specific animals do you think we should be eating?
Like a flamingo. Like
something that's light but not too heavy.
But
like, you're not saying like bring hyena in or something like that.
No.
Bring dogs in maybe.
No dogs.
Like, maybe horse.
Maybe a turtle. Like,
they have turtle soup, babe.
Yeah, like
very tasty.
Find, like, some, but we just have to be open minded. Like, there are so many different fish that are available, and we eat a very small portion
of fish.
Fish. One of the things that I've recently started doing, and I don't want to hear no shade from y'all, is more frequently visiting, and not as frequent as I want to, but visiting the fresh fish market to see what other options, and that's what we're going to increase too, and finding different ways to cook it. I love fried fish with some coleslaw and some vegetarian beans and a piece of cornbread. Oh, that is a great meal.
Black people say baked beans.
Well, baked beans, vegetarian beans, you know what I mean. But there are so many different ways to cook stuff. And again, changing our relationship with food. We gotta eat to live, not live to eat. And that's hard. And I ain't preaching to the choir, because that ain't something that I've learned to do. But just really thinking, like, even if we want to snack, like, what are we snacking on? Increasing our water intake. Moving, exercising. This is another thing, too, that I learned. Because of COVID, the fitness industry, the gyms, lost $29 billion.
Yeah.
Their revenue
recover from that.
Their revenue decreased 52% between 2019 and 2020. And the sad part about it was that resulted in like 15 million jobs within that industry. Think about people that work in the gyms, even the people that work in like the administrative offices of like the gyms, like, people losing their membership. We don't need all these people behind the scenes, personal trainers, even the people cleaning the gyms.
Facilities.
Yeah, like, so the $29 billion, but we also have to think like there's other things that we can do that are free. Like if we don't feel comfortable going back to the gym.
No, but there's other things that I want to do. Like you can buy bands and you can do band workouts that, you know, obviously it's one of the reasons why T.O. looks the way he does, because he says all he does is band workouts and all he's ever done is band workouts. So that kind of shit you don't need a gym to do that. You just need a set of bands.
And guess what is the best and freest exercise? Walking. You know, walking is a better exercise than jogging.
Yeah, because jogging puts strain on your knees and ankles and that pounding on the ground and shit like that. I've heard that before, that running is
running has
jogging,
its benefits, but running is for runners. But
and
walking,
runners run for that high they get. That's why you see people running like that. They want to get that thing that they get from running.
And just making it too a part of our lives. Like, and not only that, I find there's a fine line too of teaching kids about being healthy and then making them feel body conscious. Like I've been not struggling, but trying to find a good medium with that with one of my nieces. Like you just have to kind of make sure that you don't want kids to feel bad about themselves, but you do want them to start young. They'll be used to working out, and young men too. You know they'll, especially young men, when they start getting their own money and hanging out with their friends, the first thing they want to do is eat as much as they can. You got the damn, what's the people, Go Puff, that delivers snacks on demand. But you get young men, if they're not in sports, a lot of times they don't have that mentality that they want to work out. Yeah. This is another stat that I'm going to run y'all real fast, just because I wanted to share this, which I thought was shocking about, give me a second.
She blind, y'all.
It says while the national death rate for heart disease has gradually declined for all ethnic groups over the years, rates for African Americans remain 20% higher compared to white Americans. And then it also said that the age range, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, African Americans 18 to 49 are 2 times as likely to die from heart disease than whites. So the reason why I think that's so important, 18.
Yeah.
18 years old. So we can't start this conversation at 30. Oh, we got to start getting more healthy. At 40, oh, we got to start going, for a prostate exam and for our colorectal screening. All that is important at those ages, but we got to let them know, don't ruin your body between 18 until that time, because those are the years that any damage you're doing to your liver, to your kidneys, to your heart, to your lungs, if you smoking or doing hookah or all that stuff you're doing, by the time you get to that age, it might be too late. Yeah. These stats ain't saying from 40 to 65. This is saying from 18 to 49, 2 times as likely to die. So we have to teach our young black men, from, even if you don't play sports, develop a regimen of just taking care of your bodies. Yeah. Your mental health, like you said, we focused on that a lot, rightfully so, the last few years. Not saying to lose any momentum on that, but now add in both, because the stress of being a black man ain't going away, unfortunately.
No, it's not. And it's something you're going to have to deal with every day you walk out the door. But that don't mean you got to eat fucked up. Yeah. That don't mean you got to not go to the doctor. That don't mean you got to, look up in 5 years you ain't even been checked on. Like, so just that one time a nurse, a doctor listening to your chest, listening to your heart can make a fucking difference. It can make a huge difference. And as menial and tedious as it might seem, like she said, being out of there for a year and you're only there for 10 minutes, that can make a difference. And again, that blood work gives you a baseline of where you were here, where you were this year, where you were this year, and that, we can have a lineage of what's going on.
And I'm going to say this too. If you have health insurance, even if you don't, use it. First of all, if you got Medicaid, you don't have no copays. Go to the doctor.
Yeah, use it.
If you do, and I'll tell you this, if you have Medicaid and if you are experiencing symptoms of sick symptoms they are required to give you an appointment within 30 days.
People bitch about car insurance. People bitch about house insurance, about you pay into some shit just in case and you never get a chance to use it. Well, there's another insurance that you pay into that we should be using. And that's goddamn the health insurance. Like, so go to the doctor.
Yeah.
What have you learned last week?
Whew, I learned all these health facts that I'm giving y'all. Like, I have learned that, but I've also learned, this is more on a personal level. Like, sometimes we go looking for things like peace, tranquility, sound mind. We go looking in search of that, thinking that we have to be in a certain place or a certain environment, or the surroundings have to be conducive to having those things, where really we have to find it within us first. Because if you're all riled up in the inside and your head is all congested, you go somewhere else, it ain't no guarantee that you're not just taking that right along with you. You're going to get to that place and still feel the way that you feel. And then even if you don't, life can happen no matter where you are. You can be on the beach in the Maldives and something happen and a jellyfish come along and sting you and you lose your damn leg. Like, craziness can happen just anywhere. So what I've learned is to, at home, find what I'm looking for in a sense of peace, in the sense of stability, in the sense of tranquility, and just to continue to be intentional about what I want, what I need to make sure that I'm okay, to make sure that he's okay. And that's what I learned.
That's beautiful. I've learned that, and it's something that everybody has heard before, but faith without works is dead. And you can have faith in something about what you want your life to be and, have faith in God. But if you don't put your work in, if you don't do the things that you're supposed to do, it ain't going to work out for you. It's just not going to work out for you. So have faith, trust God, but also control what you can control. And if you do that, maybe it'll work out for you. 3 grams. We don't have 3 grams, but the top 3 reasons why black men die in 2022.
Oh.
Number 1 was heart.
Oh, 2022. Okay.
Yeah, number 1 was heart disease.
Wow.
24%. That's sad. That's what this whole conversation is about. Like, nobody wants to develop cardiovascular disease. Man, I'm glad I got that out. I'm glad I fucked that up. Second is cancer at 20%, which is another terrible, disease to have. And along with number 1, heart disease, that come with it's a lot of things under heart disease, right?
Well, I mean, it's a lot. Yes and no. It's a lot of different types of heart disease, but heart disease in of itself is
right. But I mean, they just don't tell you have heart disease. They tell you a specific thing that you have, right?
Possibly, yeah.
Right. Possibly.
Well, because you're having heart disease. Like, if you have clogged arteries, it's clogged arteries. So
that's a specific thing.
Yeah, but your heart being diseased is really
okay. Yeah, I got what you're saying. And number 3 is accidents. Unintended,
like car accident,
unintended injuries, like anything, just accidents, not car accidents.
I feel like they ain't do enough research. That's really vague. Like, that is very vague. Accident, like what, like falling off down the steps, like
unintended injuries is what is classified as accidents, and then parentheses unintended injuries. So that could mean you don't know how they define that.
Yeah, because it could be an accidental shooting. Like, are they grouping in when the cops are killing our black men as an accident?
Well,
like,
you're not going to go find information that says the number 1 killer of black men is police. You're not going to find that on the internet nowhere with a valid number behind it.
No, I absolutely I don't.
Somebody would write 100%, and you'll be like, "Is that the truth?"
The cops killing 1 black man is too much, right. But I definitely know that it ain't 20% of them. But I'm just saying that accidents is so vague. But okay.
Yeah, I'll try to get more information. But
I'm not blaming you. I'm saying their research. I feel like they ain't put enough. They was tired. They ain't put enough into it. They did that on December 31st at the deadline when they were supposed to be getting all these numbers together.
let's do all that. Back to the podcast, episode 106, coming to a close. We had a strenuous week. We promise we will be back next week. We will have a more in-depth, transparent conversation with you guys. But this type of awareness needs to be out there. Something we wanted to talk about. Something that everybody should be taking heed in. And just take care of yourselves. That's the message for this week. Take care of yourselves. But
Black men, we love you.
Yeah, we always come to this table 105 times, and we be totally transparent with y'all what we want to share. So we will be back next week.
God willing,
we will be back, and we'll have a more transparent conversation because we have to be ready for that also. So Act 2 the podcast, episode 106, wrapping up. It's your boy, International Walk.
And you got to give me the thumb. It's your girl Taj, the co-hostess with the mostest.
If you fuck with us, you fuck with us. If you don't, you should. Peace. Yeah.